Zhuxi went to the hospital to see her grandmother. Miss Su, your grandmother is doing well. It's only a matter of time before she wakes up. Really? Thank you, doctor. Just as I expected, Grandma's pulse is stable and she should wake up soon. Doctor, I'll leave now. Please call me anytime if something happens to my grandmother. As she was about to leave the hospital, she suddenly bumped into a sturdy body. The sturdy body belonged to Fu Nan Cheng. Zhuxi looked at his extremely handsome features and the mature and charming hormones emanating from his body. She stammered, Fu Nan Cheng? Why are you here? I heard from the hospital that you are here, so I came to pick you up. What would you like to eat later? Zhuxi thought about it for a while and had no appetite. I don't want to eat anything. He stretched out his big hand with a valuable watch and touched her clean and soft face. What's wrong? Are you feeling unwell? Get in the car first. Fu Nancheng put out his big hand and opened the passenger door. Zhuxi got in the car. Fu Nancheng tapped the bench next to him twice like a kitten. Fu Nancheng looked at her. Do you want to come over? Zhuxi leaned over and rested her little head on his straight shoulder. Zhuxi leaned softly into his arms. Fu Nancheng held the girl in his arms. You seem to be really tired. Come back to the company with me later and I'll ask the chef in the company to make you something to eat. Fu Nancheng lowered his head and kissed her forehead. Zhuxi's body was trembling. His gentle, caring, and tender kiss seemed to relieve all her fatigue. She raised her watery eyes and looked at him like a cat. Fu Nancheng wanted to kiss her red lips, but soon a melodious cell phone ringtone rang. It was Fu Nancheng's cell phone that rang. Because of her position so close to Fu Nancheng, Zhuxi saw a familiar name on the screen, Su Qianro. A call from Su Qianro. She sat up quickly. Pick it up, someone is waiting anxiously. As the soft and warm fragrance on his shoulder left, Fu Nancheng's handsome eyebrows twitched, and he reached out and answered the phone. Hello, Mr. Fu. Su Qianru's gentle voice reached Zhuxi's eardrum. Fu Nancheng looked at the girl beside him out of the corner of his eyes and asked in a low and indifferent voice, What's the matter? This is what happened. My parents are very angry because of something that happened on the internet. I don't dare go home now. Can Mr. Fu take me in for 2 days? Fu Nancheng showed no expression, nor did he say whether it was possible or not. I'll call you back later. After saying that, he hung up the phone. Still need to call her back? That's right. Wasn't there a scandal online before? There's no smoke without fire. They must be related. Mr. Fu, why don't you go and deal with Su Qianru's matter first? Zhuxi moved away from him. Fu Nancheng curled his thin lips. How do you think I should handle this? Zhuxi curled her thin lips, as if smiling. It's easy to handle. You can book a hotel for her and give her a villa. She will be happy if she wants you to go over and accompany her. Zhuxi stopped talking because Fu Nancheng glanced at her with a cold gaze and said, You are so generous to give her a house. After a while, he spoke again. Now, what if she wants me to accompany her? Zhuxi looked out the window angrily. The warmth between the two of them just now turned into a strange silence. Zhuxi curled her slender white fingers. It's up to Mr. Fu to decide. I have no objection to you accompanying someone else. Fu Nancheng's aura suddenly turned cold, and a sarcastic arc appeared at the corner of his lips. Fu Nancheng reached out and pulled her palm-sized face and kissed her red lips. Now he is very angry. A surge of anger spread from his chest to every part of his body, but he actually didn't know what he was angry about. Just now he deliberately answered Su Qianru's call in front of her. He wanted to test her attitude and see if she really didn't care at all that he was with another woman. Sure enough, she really didn't care. So he got angry. He was angry that she didn't care about him and that she gave him to another woman. Fu Nancheng pressed her down, biting her red lips as if he was a wild beast preying on her. Zhuxi woke up. She put her small hand on his muscular chest and pushed him away a little. Fu Nancheng, what's wrong with you? Fu Nancheng looked down at her and curled his thin lips. It's your fault that you only say things I don't like to hear, so I was forced to block it. She pushed him away. What doesn't Mr. Fu like to hear? Tell me and I will say it several times. Fu Nancheng, who was hit on the hand by Zhuxi, he had an innocent expression on his face. Zhuxi, why do I feel like you're jealous now? You pushed me to someone else and now you're jealous? Yes, I'm jealous. So what? Zhuxi raised her seductive eyes, revealing a bit of coquettishness. He likes girls who look pure, innocent, and young, and who can act coquettishly in front of him in private. He likes them the most. Fu Nancheng let out a smile from her red lips. Not so good, just coax her out of jealousy. What are you sending? Reply to Su Qianru. Yes, tell her not to bother me. I'm busy coaxing people. Why do you tell everything to others? Zhuxi really didn't expect that he would say that he was coaxing others. Adults understand that coaxing must be directed at women. At this moment, Su Qianru is probably so shocked that she can't speak. I don't know how sad she must be. Is Miss Su shy? But I think Miss Su seems to have been coaxed. Zhuxi felt a little sweet in her heart. She blinked at Fu Nancheng and said in a pretentious and soft voice, No, Mr. Fu, do I look so easy to please? He pulled her up onto his lap. Fu Nancheng's posture now was carrying the girl in his arms. It seems I have to use another method. Although it is time-consuming and laborious, I guarantee that Miss Su will be happy. Zhuxi's palm-sized face was flushed red. It was easy for her to double her happiness when she was with Fu Nancheng. He cornered her and trapped her in his arms. Then he lowered his handsome back and put his handsome face close to her. No, we're still in the car! The blush on Zhuxi's face instantly spread to her snow-white earlobes, and her little deer eyes were startled and filled with wet light. Zhuxi quickly stretched out her two little hands and covered his mouth because she didn't want her voice to be heard from outside. Her hands were soft and fragrant. Fu Nancheng looked at her and then kissed the palm of her hand. Fu Nancheng pinched her soft waist and stared at her with a dark and hot gaze. Don't worry, no one else can see it. I promise. The next second, Fu Nancheng lowered his body, kissed her red lips, and bit her thin neck. Zhuxi's mind went blank and she couldn't think of anything. The next morning, it was already 9 o'clock when Zhuxi opened her eyes and Fu Nancheng was no longer around. She sat up quickly. Zhuxi was so tired she held her back with her small hands. Fu Nancheng is too much. He has to work so hard from the car to the company. Doesn't he need to sleep? Mr. Fu, I know I shouldn't disturb you. Zhuxi threw back the quilt. As soon as she opened it, she heard a familiar voice. This voice is Su Qianru? Su Qianru is here. Outside the door. Now Su Qianru stood in the office, looking at Fu Nancheng with love in her eyes. But I'm really at my wit's end now. Mr. Fu, can you fulfill your engagement and marry me? Su Qianru curled her fingers. Now that her reputation was ruined, Fu Nancheng was the biggest trump card she held in her hand, so she wanted Fu Nancheng to marry her and make her Mrs. Fu. Next episode preview. Zhuxi was a little stunned. She had some connection with the old lady Fu in the imperial capital, but she didn't expect that the old lady would let her grandson marry her. How do you know for sure that Su Qianru is the king? King has a jade pendant as a token of love. 2 years ago, Su Shui used the jade pendant to marry into the Fu family. Now Su Qianru says the jade pendant is hers. Zhuxi understood everything. It turned out that the Su family took her jade pendant to the Fu family to seek marriage. This wrong marriage in a wealthy family started with her jade pendant. The shamelessness of the Su family once again refreshed her cognition, and Su Qianru really had the nerve to pretend to be the king. How did my jade pendant become the property of these two sisters? One or both of them dared to pretend to be me. It seems I have to take action.